You're welcome to this live, and in this live we're going to be doing um, 2D platformer game. So we're going to be making a 2D platformer game using Godot visual scripting. That's what we're going to be doing in this live. So you're welcome. So the first thing I'm going to do is to create my project file. I'm going to create a project file. The first thing I'll do here, if I go to my create, I'm going to just type my 2D platformer live tutorial. So I'm going to click on the browse to go and get the place I'm going to save it. So I'll just save it in one of my folders. So I'm going to also create a folder for it by checking this box here. Now the laptop I'm using does not have a graphics card, so I'm just going to simply use the compatibility mode, and this will limit me because the version of Orchestra I'll be using might not the latest version might not work here, so I'm going to work with the one that works with my own laptop. That's 2.0 or something. I'm going to show you later. So once I click on this compatibility, I'll leave other settings and I'll click on create. Okay, now I have my file open here. So it's opening a file for me. So now I want to be able to add my orchestrator right now and a few add-ons I'm going to be using. So the first, let me just get the orchestrator first before I put the add-ons. So I'm going to right click here. So once I right click, I'm going to go into my file manager. I'm going to get the orchestrator file. So I'm just going to push this to another screen. So what I'm doing right now is that I'm copying the file, just a folder of add-ons that I'm going to be needing. So what I have here now is an add-ons file with the orchestrator file inside it. I think there's one more file that will come with it that I'm going to delete. Don't need this one. So I have the orchestrator file, and that is what I need, and it's actually inside this add-on. So the long way to actually add it is from over the add-ons, okay, in the asset lib. So first of all, I'm just going to go ahead to restart my orchestrator. If you look at right now, the orchestrator is actually here, but you can't really use it until you restart your entire system. You have to restart the entire system for you to be able to use it properly. So for the meantime, I'm just going to go to my asset lib and also add, I'm going to also need the 2D platformer add-on. So if I type the platformer, I think my laptop is a bit slow, so you just have to bear with me. So I have this thing here. I think I made a mistake in my spelling. So I'm actually getting all the add-ons I'm gonna need for this project. So here I have my ultimate platformer control 2D. So this is just an add-on you can be able to use to create a very simple 2D platformers, and you won't have to write in any code. So I'll just download it, and once it's done downloading, I'm just gonna use that. So okay, it's cannot connect. I think I might have a network issue. Let me retry it again. Okay, so I have this here now, and I'll click on install. Right now it's installing it here, so but I want you to install it on my inside my add-ons. So I'll open up my add-ons folder and click on select folder and click on install, and right now it's going to install it in my add-ons folder. So once I click OK, so what I need to do right now is to just restart I'm going to just quit this and restart it. So I'm going to restart my engine because I just installed the orchestrator add-on, and because I installed the orchestrator add-on, I'm going to need to restart the entire Godot engine. Okay, so now I'm going to just double click on that to open up. Papa, how are you doing? How have you been? Alright, so I'm actually doing a live tutorial for the 2D platformer game I actually made. I realized someone actually commented and said that they wanted to have more detailed tutorial. So that's what I'm actually making, but I want to make it live so that anybody that wants to comment can just feel free to comment and ask questions. So it's going to be a live tutorial for today. So now this is open and the orchestrator is going to be working fine. So like I said, the orchestrator version that I have is 2.0.1, but the version that is available is 2.1.3. That's the latest version. So the best thing for you to do is, if you have a laptop with what's it called, that's a graphics card, okay, you can be able to actually go for the higher version. So let's go into the project. So first I'm going to be creating this. So I'm just going to do a little breakdown of the entire design process. So here, let me get my Inkscape. So I'm not going to give much time to designing this in Inkscape, but I'm just going to give you an overview. So the first thing I did here was to simply go to the file, and I went to here, the document properties. So if you go to document properties, you can be able to have access to the properties of a document. Okay, so you can just come in here and you see, if you see here, you have your display and you have your guidelines and your grid. So in this grid, you're going to click a new grid. That's the reason why you see this grid all over this particular screen. Okay, so you just turn on all this by default, but the most important thing is you use this spacing X and spacing Y to align this grid. Now if you actually look at my screen, let me show you where my center axis is. So if you look at it, it's perfectly inside the grid, so the grids are almost perfectly into it. So you can always use this to align. If you see, whenever I change this, the alignment of the grid changes. So this is just for aligning your grid. And the most important thing here is to go over to your grid units and change this grid unit here to pixel. Okay, so that's your pixel. You're going to make it a pixel. So once you do that, you can be able to have access to other features. So now in the display here, it depends on how many this thing you're working with. Let's say, for example, the size of your tiles, because we're doing it like more of a tileable. We're using a tile set for this particular game, so you can be able to come in here and type in your tile set. So if you don't have the other software used for making tile sets, you can be able to come here and make it and type in the value. So if it's 16 by 16 or 32 by 32, you can just come in here and put it, and it will give you the size here. So let's say, for example, I go for 32 and 32. Let's see, 32. And if you look at what is happening right now, my screen just increased. The canvas that I'm actually painting just increased right now. So whenever I paint, it's going to give me a bigger version of my design. So it just depends on what I'm going to be doing. So I did a very basic design here, basically, and the character design was quite very simple. So it's just more of using different shapes. So if you are good with graphics, you will just know exactly how to do this. So let me just put this down here, and I can just push this. I'm not going to design every single thing here. I'm going to make a tutorial on that separately. So I have this here, and I can just get my color. Let's say I get a red color. And then if you want to be able to paint around it, okay, you can just go into this part here. You go to objects, and then you go into your file and stroke. So basically what you're trying to do here is that you are trying to create low res kind of designs that can easily play in your game. It's not going to be like a proper 2D very large scale drawings. So you want to just make very, very simple drawings that will not even be up to 1 megabyte. You understand? In fact, you can actually export your files, and the entire file is below 2 megabytes. So here I'm going to just drop this here, and Once I get this out, I can get my stroke paints, and let me get my stroke color and increase the color, and then give it a color, and my color is going to be black. Okay, so let me go back to my stroke style, and I'm going to just reduce it. So I would like to push it back a bit like this. Then the next thing I want to do is to put for the eye, something for the eye. Let me go closer. Just give it some white stuff, and I can just duplicate this, make this a bit smaller. You can select this and duplicate it and bring it to this place. That's the thing you can do. So for the thing that looks like the ear, it's a very simple one. Just you can simply get, let me use this time around. What I actually used was a rectangle. Let me rather use a pencil for this one, so that it's going to be easy to manipulate. So you can click and click and click and press enter key to have that. So when you have this, you see that you need to remove the fill color. So I'll remove the fill color here, and you have something that looks like this. Then go get your edit path node by node. Once you get it, you can be able to, move these out. Let me see how this one is. Okay. So I'm going to select this one. I will delete it. So I'm just going to have it this way. So once I select this, let me bring this down a bit. I'll Control D to duplicate it. So once I'm done with this now, I can just simply go ahead to duplicate this entire thing. Okay, I think you should reduce the music. It's a little lower to clear your noise. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Is it better now? Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead to, this is the first part of the picture, so I'm just going to select this. Now if you want to put more complicated stuff, you can actually go ahead to do that. So I'm going to do that, just duplicate this. So if you're going to have like an animation, okay, so you need to have a tile of it. So different versions depending on how you want to do it. So I'm just going to have this as my first one, and then the second one will be, just use this and just select this and just push it back this way, and this one this way. Select this, duplicate again, and do the same thing again, just this way. Okay, so I have something like this. So it's going to create an animation for me. So I'm going to just select all this and I'll go ahead to export them. I'm going to add it to my the other ones I already have before. So I'll select this first one, and to export you just go to file and export. You click here and then you go to the file where you want to save it. So let me call this my layer 1.1. Layer 1.2. Or 2.1 rather, 2.1. And then lastly, I'm going to make this to be player 3.1 because I'm going to be using this bigger character to replace the older one that I already have. So this will be player 3.1. So this particular one is very simple. For this, it's just basic shapes that are brought together. So it's not difficult to make something like this. So just basic shapes. So you can actually easily, with the knowledge of what I just did here, do this particular one. So I'm just going to jump into the Godot engine and let's work there. So before I go in there, I want to import my file. So let me go get my file. I will search for my file. I have a second screen that I'm working with where I'm going to search for my file. Let me search for the file here. So I have a file that I want to use, and that's this folder I just exported the game script to, the game sprites to. Okay, so I have my game sprite that I want to import right now into, that will be our, let me see where that file is saved. I think I've forgotten where I saved the file. So I'm going to just get that file, and now I'm going to come here, right click, and I'm going to open the file manager. Once I open the file manager, it looks something like this, and I can just drop that file inside here. So it has been imported, the lava invasion sprites, and it's just going to start importing automatically. So once it's done, we have all those files inside here. So now let's start with the basics thing, the basic thing that we're going to be working with. So the first thing we want to just go ahead to do is to get our character and add all the things that we need on it. Okay, so first let me create a character, and to create a character I'm going to be using, I'll click on other nodes, and I'm going to type character body 2D. So once I type this, I can right click on it and add. You have to use an animated sprite 2D for you to be able to use the add-on that we're going to be using. So once you add that, you can still select this character body 2D and also add a collision shape to it. So once you do that, let's go and add our animated sprite. So remember we added our player, the big player 1.1. So once you do that, you click on the animated sprite 2D here and open up the animation panel here in your inspector. So if you have not used this before, you have to go to my video tutorials where I talk about the panels and different parts of the Godot engine, and you can be able to get it from there. So now I can just go in here and get in my new sprites and click on this place, and right now I can just, once I click on this sprite frame, you see that I have an option here. So it's default, so I'm just going to leave the default there. So now I can just come in here and click and drag this. So this is the first one I'm going to create, and you see it right there. Okay, you're going to see it just right there. So then I'm going to go ahead to add a second one. The second one should be player 2.1. Okay, and then you add the first one again because it has to come to the center again before it goes to the third one. All right, so this is how you're going to have it. This appears twice. So if you actually play it right now, you see that it's going to be giving you a very smooth animation here. That's what it's going to be giving you. So you can always come in here and autoplay it, so it actually, once it loads, it's going to just start playing. So I'm going to go down here and go to my collision shape and click on the shape here and get my, I'm going to use a rectangle for this one. So when I get my rectangle for my shape, it's just going to be something like this here. So I'm going to change this setting from the texture here. If you actually click on the animated sprite to get a more clearer picture, if you click here, you have the is usually by default in inherit. So you can just change it to nearest, and it's going to give you a bit sharper image for your pixel art. So now I'm going to save this file. Let me create a new folder. I'm going to create a new folder called scenes. And in my scenes, I'm going to call this my player, and just go ahead to save this immediately. So once I save it, I'm going to have the ability to do whatever I want to do on this. Okay, so let's go get the code. So right now we're not going to create a visual scripting code for this because we want to use an add-on to make this work. It's going to be faster for us. So if you go into your add-ons, if you look at here, you see your ultimate platformer controller script. You just drag it and drag it to this character body 2D. So once you drop it there, you can click on it and you will see that the values of the character body 2D just changes immediately. So you need to just set it here. So if I go into my player script, I can just click on the player sprite. I click on assign, and you see it only sees animated sprite 2D, so don't use normal sprite. So I'm going to click on this and click OK. Once I click on that, I'm going to go for my player collider. So I'm going to click on that. It's going use the collision shape I already added on it. So once I add that, now it depends on other features I have here. Will have the maximum speed that the player can be able to move. You can be able to make the player move a specific. If you increase the value, it's going to move faster. If you reduce the value, it's going to move slower. Then here we'll have the time to reach maximum. We can just leave these ones alone. The most important one I like using is that you can make it to jump 2 times. If you really want it to jump, you can make it to jump twice. That's one of the things you could do. So then you can also increase the jump height. So usually I like increasing my jump height to about 3. So it's going to jump a bit higher. That's what I like doing. So now I'm going to just come in here and save this work. I think I'm done with this. Just save it. And the next thing I want to create, I want to be able to create my scene. Okay, I'm going to put in my tiles. So that's what I want to do now. So I'm going to just click on this 2D scene. Is going to be a normal 2D scene, and I'm going to right click and type in my tile. So I have my tile map layer, so I can just click on that and click on create. So once I create, I can just go down to here in my tile set, click here and click on new tile set. Now once you click on a new tile set, you're going to come down here and you see that you have the tile map is here and you have a tile set here. So you need to add a tile set that you're going to be able to use. So to do that, I'm going to open my lava invasion sprite and go down to where I have my floor 1. So I'm going to just drop this floor 1 here and click OK. So if you see now, it's just having just one control here. I'm just going to click it to select it. So that's the only one I have. Okay, so let's go into my tile map. So if you look at the tile map here, you have different selections you can be able to use. If you have a bigger tile set, you can be able to use this big one to select it. But because I just have a very simple one, I can just click on it and it will pick up that tile. It's very, very small. So I can use that to begin to paint whatever I want to paint. So I can just come in here and say, okay, this is the floor, my floor here. Okay, so I can just say, I want my game to start somewhere here. Let me see. Okay, let's say somewhere here. So we can just drag this way. So if you look at now, you see that it's painting something for us. So if you want to jump, you can just jump and paint another one. Now I want to be able to get the floor, the part where I'm going to use to paint this floor. So I have a new one. So I'm going to go back to my tile set and add a new tile set, this one here. So let me do that again. Sorry, in a tile set, if you go back to your tile set here, drag this into this place and say yes. Once you do that, if it's the one selected here, go to your tile map and you see that you can select it back here again, and now you can be able to paint the bottom of this. So you can right click to delete if you don't like it. So I'm just going to paint those things here. Now we're going to actually make more. So, but we want this thing to be able to have a collision shape. So we want it to be able to collide with different objects. When objects try to hit it, we want it to be able to collide with those objects. That's what we need. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just come in here. I'm just going to come in here and go into my physics here. In my physics, I'm going to just sorry, I think I'm selecting the wrong thing. In this place, go your physics. Where is our bodies? So we'll have physics here. We should have, okay, click on the tile set so that you open up the physics layer. That's what I'm looking for. You click on this first, open up the physics layer, and you can add an element. So if I click on add element, you see that you have an element here. Okay, so the question is, what do you want to use this element for? So to decide that, you can now go back to your tile set here, and you can see that you can click on this now, and you can go to paint here. All right, and because I've created this, you have a layer that you can be able to work with. Click here now, and it's going to create this for you. And all you need to just do is just to click on this physics layer, and once you click on physics layer, it's going to give you this, and you have to select what you want. So I'm just going to come in here and select this, and that means that every part it sees this, it will be a collision shape. Okay, even if you want to also get this one to have collision, you can also do the same thing. So now both of them are colliding. So let's test it and actually see if it's working. So right now I'm going to just get my player into the scene, right click and get my instantiate a scene, and I have my player there. That's the only scene I have, and I'm going to just press enter key and it brings it in here. I will just drop my player down there, so we'll have something like this, and attach a camera to my player. Okay, so we'll have this here. So let's just leave that for now, and if you need to come closer, we can just zoom in about 2, so it goes very close to the player. Now I can just go ahead to save this scene. So let's test and actually see how it works. Let's call this main. Now this is the beginning part of our game, and we're just trying to make sure that everything is working fine. Okay, so I'm waiting for my game to actually load up so that I can be able to test it. So we want to be able to test the screen and how it's playing. So once you're able to do that, we can be able to now go into more complicated stuff that we can be able to work with. So let me see. Sure, it's playing. Okay, it's coming up. Okay, so I have this here, and that's the way it is. So it's not moving right now because we forgot to add some controls to this our player here. So we have to go add the controls for our players. So but right now you can see that this is colliding. It's not passing through the physics body of this block. So that's the main thing we're going to test, and it's working. So we're going to just leave that for now. Let's close this. So we need to go and check something. So first I'm going to click on this character body 2D, the code, and I'll show you something. If you go into the code, you'll see the controls that we're going to be creating. Let me go down to the code here. I think that should be 300 and okay, we'll have crowd watch. We're not using those ones. So we'll have left, right, up and down. That's what we're using. We'll have jump too. Okay, so we're going to just use left, right and jump. That's what we need for this particular game that we're working on right now. So I'm just going to come in here to project settings, and I'm going to go to my input map. If you have never created your input map, this is how to create it, your buttons. So I'll come in here to this. I'm going to type up. Make sure it's the same letter that you have here is exactly what you're using here. It's not going to work if it's not. Sorry, it's not up. I meant to use right and left. Right, and click on add, and I'm going to type left. Click on add, and also I'm going to type jump for the jump feature and click OK. So now let's create the controls. I'm going to click on the right here. My right will be D. I'm using D for my right. I'm using A for my left, and I'm using click on the keyboard for my jump. Sorry, click on the mouse, my left click for the jump. So that's what I'm using right now. So once I'm done with that, let's go back to our scene and keep on painting some few things that we need. So I'll go back to my tile map. Remember, you can have multiple tile maps so you can be able to use. So in my tile map, I'm going to select this one. Okay, so back here now, let's click here and click on this to get it. Where is our control? So you have to use this one here. So I can just come in here and I want to cut off this place so that you don't mistakenly jump off. So let's keep on painting, and we're going to paint something nice. We're going to still come back to paint more if we need to, but we're going to just get the rough layout of our entire tile. I'll come up here and also get this one again and go back to painting the top. Let's get this and click here, and then we can just paint. Let's say for example we want to paint a platform you can jump to. You can even make it more difficult, make it like something like that. You can do something like that and make sure that and another thing you could do to make your work easier, you can just paint and go forward continuously, just keep painting. And if you want to paint straight, you can hold your shift to paint a bit straight more. Okay, so we'll have this. I'm going to just delete this. So I can just come in here, delete this, delete this, delete this, delete this. This might take a bit of time, so I'm just going to just work on it. I don't think I will do everything here in this life, because it's going to take a lot of time. So I'm just going to select this one and paint the bottom of it. Now I would like to paint like sort of what where the ending part of the game. So I'm just going to just paint here. Hope this is not too boring. So I'm trying to make the game to be, just like a level that you're creating. So that's basically what I'm doing here. So I don't know if I think the player should be able to jump over this. So let's say for example, we could give it a platform that you can jump to here, because I think this one is a bit too long. And still go back to this, select that again, and just continue what we're doing. So I think we're going to create something like a home that represents that you have come to the end of the game. We're going to just end our game here. So let's say we could create something like let's create something like this. Okay, no, I think here should be good. Something like that, and represents the home. So we're going to just cover up these parts, and there's more work to be done. So but we're just going to focus more on the workflow and doing something very nice. Okay, so I have a very simple game. You just play, you jump from here, you come, jump, jump, jump. Okay, I think we also have a long distance here, so we're going to just put like a sort of platform you can jump to here, and then before you jump to the last part of this game. So we'll have these here, and for like we can cover up this part too, but I'm going to leave it for the meantime until we're done with other things that we need to do. Just bring this one a bit up. Okay, so we'll have this here now. So now we have this player. Let's play this very simple game. It's just playable. There is no basic enemy there. I think we're going to be able to make the enemies to be able to move around. That's another thing we can be able to do for this particular one. So there will be fewer enemies. So right now you can move and you can jump, and you have very simple stuff there. Okay, you have that. And you reach to the end of the game. So there will be a treasure, maybe something that we're going to just get here, and that will signal the end of the game. Okay, so that's just basically what the game is really about. So now let's go into the next thing. Okay, so for our camera, for the player, we need to do some few things on it to make it look even better.